what are these things that really make up like a healthy person? Like not the people who can just like move the best. And like you're in this industry long enough that you see that you can get super, super strong. You can be really fast. You can move really good and still be a kind of unhealthy person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um,
Yeah.
so that's been really interesting to me lately. And like I recently like read a little book on like blue zone studies of
Hmm.
people living out there
Yeah.
and just like their habits of nutrition and daily exercise, but probably more so like the social components and the low stress in their lives and stuff. And this
Yeah.
is really like where my interests are going is like it's like I kind of know how to stay in shape for the next 20, 30, 40 years of my life, but how do I keep my stress down? How do as like a
Mm.
father who's handling like being a father to twins and like sometimes feeling like so overwhelmed and then also trying to run a business, trying to train and keep myself in shape. It's like, what are the things that are going to help me, um, like
Yeah.
not burn out, and not have too much stress in my life?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good topic, and it's funny because that has been in my head a little bit lately to a degree. And I did actually one of the direction I wanted to talk about was like not only dad and training, but dad and working, right? Because that's a whole different thing as well. Like
Mm,
you lose time, you have to be more efficient with that. But
yep.
funny, Ben Patrick literally shared in that group chat comes back to that again. I've literally only been a day or two, and it was reading one lot of posts. But he shared someone shared a study, and I think it was the life expectancy of people that do different sports and like low down was like I think American football and boxing and mountaineering was
Yep.
in there, which made me like I love mountaineering, but
Mm.
I don't know, maybe that's like because they have accidents and I'm not that extreme, so maybe it's that. And then
Yeah.
high up, I think was even like maybe gymnastics and volleyball or something like that, right? And he said a lot of the jumping sports are high up, like the people that do
Mm.
height like pole vault and volleyball and things like this, right?
Oh yeah, I have heard this. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my thought was I was going to reply, and I thought I don't necessarily want to get into a big deep conversation, but my initial thought is like the chicken. It's kind of the chicken and the egg thing, right? It's not that these sports are necessarily making people healthier and live longer because they're doing them. I think it's the soul condition or the emotional state of people that choose to do those sports. Like what's in you that draws you towards volleyball, and what's in you that draws you towards American football, what's in you that draws you
Mm.
toward boxing. And so
Yep.
it's the for me, it's not that like the sports making people live longer and the sports making people live less. It's that there's something in my soul that makes me draw to this sport that's more aggressive. That was the point. I did make one comment. I said, because someone said about the more masculine sports, the people live less. And I said, depends on your definition of masculine first, because I don't necessarily think
Right.
that boxing or football is masculine. That's just maybe
Mm.
injured masculine, right? It's this aggression. And it's the more aggressive sports we're living less. And so holding on, whatever's caused them to feel that aggression and they're living in that state of aggression makes them age. So if
Yeah.
we're like
Yeah.
holding on to this anger all the time, it's going to age as, like you said, stress, all these not just emotions, but bottled emotions, repressed emotions where they're like
Yes.
bubbling under the surface but not dealt with. And so that's a whole big discussion, right, of how you deal with it. And I've done a video on the channel before about anger, and I think it's healthy to express anger, but you have to deal with it in a way where you don't express it at other humans or other
Mm.
things, anything. You like take it, you go to a punch bag and express it, but without projecting it at someone. So, but if
Yes.
you bottle it, then it can end up as coming out as cancer or some other worse scenario, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so these are the kind of discussions where, yeah, the blue zone thing is very fascinating because people just go straight to diet and they kind of use that as proof. Well, these people eat mostly a vegetarian diet. These people eat just a little
Yeah.
bit of fish and a Mediterranean diet or whatever, and they live longer. And it's like food is way down on the list compared to if you listen to most podcasts and bro science podcasts where they talk so much about food and nutrition as like this high ball on like things that make you live longer. Like,
Right.
yes, it's a factor of health, but it's nowhere near as big a factor as your emotional state day to day, as what you're expressing, as what you're bottling, what you're projecting, what you're expressing, like being humble to and having the cry if you need to cry, if you're, whatever it is. But I think that's a great point, especially when you have children now. Now you've got that trigger every day. You've got that relationship where like
Yeah.
with your partner, you're like, what is fair? Because when you lived on your own and you could be selfish, well, it was fair to be selfish because you didn't owe anything to anyone else. Now you have a partner and a child, like, and you've given up 2/3 of your time is all automatically gone to them, right? Like almost, a lot of your time.